Hey everyone, I'm James Albrasin. This is Family Talks episode 6. I'm joined again by Fabian Vogelsteller. Fabian, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, thanks for having me again after a year or so now, or two,
It's
I
been a
guess.
while. Yeah.
Mm.
I'm pretty sure everyone knows you from the audience, so I'll get straight into the first question. Yeah, I'm curious, you've been at the very start of Ethereum in the blockchain crypto space. Where are we right now, Fabian, in terms of the industry? I'm seeing a lot of drama, and especially in Ethereum. Yeah, what's your current thoughts in this space?
Um, I feel so honored answering all of these questions. I can give my big opinion here.
Please do.
Um, I mean, to be honest, I think i- the crypto space is a bit of a weird one, because we started out with this really big ideas. When Bitcoin came, the idea was this is going to change finance, and it has. When Ethereum came, was the idea, okay, that's going to be, the infrastructure for, applications and identity, and, it becomes this like baseline for like a new world built on Web3. And it hasn't fully, right? Somehow it just all became a money Lego. I was yesterday in the German parliament here, but the Bundestag. And there was a Bundesblock meeting, which is the kind of blockchain association in Germany. And all the talk was about stable coins, and how Germany is behind and how we have to get forward in AI and blockchain. And number one, I find it funny that when it's about, politics, it's all about like football clubs, one country, the other country, you need to do better than this country.
Yeah,
And behind the scenes, they're all literally completely like working together on the shit show that we have today. But when it comes to the like front, it's like we are this football club and we need to do better in our economy and we need to be better in this and that. And it's all weird, honestly. But yeah, I mean, crypto is still kind of like in this belief that hey, Web3 is just some finance Lego, and somehow that's what it will be. And I think, when we saw the meme coins and, NFTs on the end not really working out. I mean, with meme coins, actually, you could even say that meme coins are probably the first cultural currencies. The only problem is they have no purpose. When they have no purpose, that means there's a pump, there's a hype,
exactly.
and then what else is it after? And that's the problem. What else is it after? And sure, it could sponsor NASCAR like Dogecoin, or it could like have a meaning like I don't know, the currency of Mars. Um, but that's very far out, far fetched, and so far not much meme coins besides ape. I think the apes have really created some culture. There was some benefits, the ape yacht club where you could join these like special parties because you had the ape bought in the early days. Um, and then what's happening right now in crypto, I think, is number one, we have seen all of these wars. The macroeconomy is bad, and because the macroeconomy is bad, crypto has not. Number one, crypto has not really been countering that, which is in the past that was the case. Markets go down, crypto went up because it's the savior. It's like gold,
Right.
right? That changed. So now it's so tied in with the big money that markets go down, crypto goes down. It's really kind of now correlated. And everybody expected, an altcoin season or a crypto reversal last year already. It didn't happen. And I think everybody mentally kind of counted with that this will happen. And also resource planning in a way went into the same way. I mean, same for us. Everybody thought, okay, there's altcoin season coming last year, and then it didn't. So then resources got more and more strained out, even so much that even the Ethereum Foundation, struggles. I mean, they're running out of Ether too, and obviously, paying all these client developments and node developments plus playing. I mean, I'm talking about network clients. Um, and plus paying, high salaries, which is now expected in the industry. I mean, it strains any budget. At the same time, the appetite in investing in crypto went completely down because the investor type that was last year is the retail investor, and the retail investor bought meme coins, and meme coins didn't make people money except some very few people, that the one were the snipers, one who like knew how to be early
Exactly.
in something, and everybody else held the bag, and that bag's worth nothing. So everybody is kind of down, and the interest to buying anything new is gone. The investors that bought technology because of technology is not there anymore either. So it's a weird state, where everybody's running out of money. The purpose of crypto hasn't really fulfilled as people hope for. We're still kind of in the finance idea of crypto, right? We haven't even moved beyond what that can be. And yeah, everybody's struggling, everybody's struggling. Like
Yeah,
us
can you
as a project, ecosystem, every other ecosystem, others spend millions in marketing. It didn't do a change, because on the end, if no one wants to buy, no one wants to buy the tokens. That's what it is, independent of whatever you have. Um, but I think that's going to shift. I mean, my gut feeling, just my gut feeling. So no financial advice, but I think it's going to shift this year or beginning of next year. And what is important is that we are, number one, realizing what we have built or what we're building, understanding what can come next. And we can go into this in a little bit, what's even the next, and then just also really use it, and experience it and try it out, because the technology is far more accessible than it has ever been before.
exactly? I just wanna before we get into the next steps, Fabian, I just wanna double click on the concept of finance and blockchain, because I feel like you said, it's really what crypto is nowadays, just really about finance, stable coins, like you said. Do you feel like
Yeah.
it's been, the original vision of having a decentralized global computer, right? That was my understanding of, Bitcoin and blockchain in general. Do you think we've shifted away from that? Or, just towards finance, and we've really gone away from that value philosophy of a decentralized global computer? What's your thoughts?
So the thing is, I mean, it's for different people, it's different things. I mean, for the early days developers, it hasn't shifted away from that, because we're still building that. I mean, ICP, for example, they're building a decentralized cloud, focusing now on AI, because that's the thing. Ethereum always has been everything. It has been, and obviously, when you look in the blockchain space, like most of them are EVM chains. They're all Ethereum virtual machines. Luxor obviously is a full-on Ethereum chain, but it is the default in crypto. And what people don't understand, that this is not a token generator. This is not like a chain to make a token, right? This is a compute engine that can run you trustless snake games, if you will, right? Like that's the capacity. But they can run you trusted snake games, and the possibilities are massively and endless of what could be built around that. And it has not, finance is just one tiny aspect. And we're so stuck in this idea that, okay, I make a token and then it needs to be somehow be valuable, because then people want to buy it. And if people want to buy it, then I have money and I make a project. But I think the truth is, blockchain is a a society coordination system. It is the foundation layer for a society coordination system. And that coordination will use tokens as tools. And so far, we have only really seen the money tokens, like anything that has a monetary value. Um, but there can be also mechanisms that don't even use tokens at all. Like voting, for example, doesn't need a token. Sure, you can make a token voting, but
Mm.
you only need a smart contract that counts each vote as one vote, makes it in a way that you don't reveal your vote until certain things happen. It's more complicated, but it's doable. And you have a trustless voting system that no one can ever, cheat in. That's just one thing. You can obviously have membership and participation, or Amir build a decentralized Twitter, right? I mean, the smart contract just stores the post entries and the references to the texts, which are then off-chain. It's a crazy use of the database, if you will, but it's possible. Um, And I think what's the most important piece that has been missing so far, and why we haven't even seen that adoption or that kind of other use cases outside of finance, is in my opinion identities, or
Please,
not
yeah,
on.
explain more on that, because I feel like you said, the post-finance evolution, this we've been focused on wallets and seed phrases, right? So there hasn't really been an identity or an account that people can put the
Access.
reputation on, right? So yeah, please share more, Fabian.
Yeah, I mean, number one, yes, if everything is wallets and tokens, then out comes money in finance, right? That's kind of a clear equation. And also the idea of connecting your bank account to an app, I mean, that only attracts people who are interested in making something with a bank account, which is mostly buying and selling something. So you can't really do social apps if the primitive that you have to use is just a random string that looks like a bank account number with no attached information, no profile data, no reputation, nothing that makes it human. It's just a random string. And obviously there was ideas to solve that with ENS and others, but ENS, for example, requires you to purchase a name. So now you have a chicken egg problem. In order to have a user identity, now you need to not only buy the name, but buying the names means you have to have,
Exactly.
token, and you have to have the native token of that network, understanding that concept. So there's 50 steps in before, or like there's 5 steps in before you need to understand to even have a profile. And that obviously cannot really work out. Um, and the other thing is most of the identities that we have seen were mostly either, one app made their own identity or their own little profile system on top of your wallet. That was pretty much 90% the case. Or like ENS systems that tried to make it more generic, and they had some obviously financial traction, but they also had traction, but they were pretty much still more for the nerd and the niche nerd, right? Like who has an ENS name? It's the guy who cared enough, who has been long around, who, I don't know. In the NFT space, it was then cool at some point too. But there is a lot of problems with ENS itself because it's a name system. And when you want to try use it like an identity, then it's actually not a good idea. I would heavily disagree with this being a good idea for identity itself, because in ENS, you have I mean, I don't know if I want to go so technical, but in simple terms, you have a registry. So it's like yellow pages. You have the yellow pages, right? But the yellow pages are just a name pointing to your phone number, right? And you can change your phone. The name could point to another phone number, to another phone number, to another phone number, right? This could be changing over time. Like your wallet can change. Your ENS stays the same. Your wallet changes. But all of your identity is actually that phone number. Like your address on chain is the real identity because that's doing the transaction, that's holding the assets, that's doing everything, right? I'm not sure if you're frozen right now. You look frozen. Can you hear
Am
me
I?
still?
Okay, I can hear you loud and clear. Yeah,
Probably
I'm just
frozen.
listening deeply into your to your
You
thoughts.
listen very deeply. But I mean, anyway, point is, the real identity is the on-chain address and the on-chain account. And when that can be changed from the metadata, like in ENS, where it's in a registry, when that can be decoupled, now you don't really have a long-lasting identity, because I can literally, it's almost like switching the head and the body out. I can take my head and put it on another body. And it's like, okay, that's weird. Like now it's a different body, and like, who are you even? Are you the body or are you the head? But so you need to merge them together. Like the metadata needs to sit in the address of the wallet itself, which is doing the things on chain. When you do that, now you have a long-lasting identity. Now you have a long-lasting provenance over what did the identity do? What did it do on chain? What does it own? Who does it belong to? What did it issue? What metadata it had in the past? What metadata has it now? What data was attached to it and reference from it? It's all encapsulated in one address. And now you have something that you can call an identity, right? And if this is an identity for a person or an organization or an AI bot or a car or whatever you want it to be, it doesn't even matter. It's the right proper way of even doing an identity. And that
The
has not existed yet.
foundations.
It did
Mhm.
not exist in that form, and uh, and that's one part. And the other part is if it's not easy accessible, if you don't have the instant in, like for example, a universal profile is exactly that identity. I mean, hence why I'm talking about it. It takes you 30 seconds to create one. You don't need to understand blockchain. You don't need to understand tokens. You don't need to have a seed phrase. You don't need to have an email. It takes you 30 seconds and you have one. And then on the Luxor chain, you can create tokens. You can interact with dApps on the Luxor network. So it's seamless. You don't need to understand the complexity of blockchain, which is important if you want to get the rest of the world to care. There's obviously a lot of cool stuff that you can do on all the other chains that you cannot do on Luxor because the other chains have all the DeFi protocols, they have all the money, the liquidity. Hence why universal profiles are built from the get-go in a way to be able to access all the other networks down the road. And that's something that I'm working on. And when that comes, the word universal profiles, the universal in universal profiles becomes more true because it becomes actually more universal, right? And then it can really function as that kind of identity, that's needed to even make that space relevant to anyone who doesn't just want to buy and sell things.
I think, you mentioned it before, identity can be placed for agents as well. I feel like a big topic nowadays is agentic commerce, agentic systems. And I think a key missing puzzle to all of agents nowadays is really identity. Fabian, do you have any thoughts between the intersection between AI and blockchain on how, I think we already see it with the Luxor agent and Emmet, right? They're doing it autonomously on chain. You can see what they're doing on chain. Do you see any benefits or especially also like any pitfalls that could be mitigated with this sort of identity?
Um, I mean, yeah, I mean, if you want to have anyone, I mean, it's not even about like having agents on chain. Yeah, universal profile functions perfectly for an agent. But I think more so, for example, I have a personal assistant, Luma, and uh, I have my own universal profile. I can just authorize Luma to be able to act through my account. I can restrict her to only do certain things, move certain tokens, or interact with certain other protocols. And now it can be me, it can act as me on chain. So if I have then KYC data, so I could literally then, I don't know, interact with exchanges or do purchases. I
Exactly.
mean, fun fact, I mean, it's the same yesterday when I was in this parliament session. It's like what we have built over 8 years with universal profiles and the whole standards tech stack. It's everything that is needed. Like any of the current problems we have besides quantum computers and besides scalability of blockchain, and besides total privacy, that's also not fully solved. But the basis of like easy access, agent economy, moving Web3 beyond just finance bros, all of that and a lot more actually becomes possible for the first time really properly because of universal profiles. It's so often that I'm seeing, okay, they're talking about, we need this and this, and I think I already have the system for it. Like I literally can think out in 3 steps how to use it exactly in the purpose that you need. And it's so flexible. And so it is a little, you know, at times weird to see that you have the solution for a lot of those problems. And they talking about like it should exist somehow. And it's like, it's right here,
I
literally
agree
right here.
because
But the
even
funny thing is,
yeah,
maybe to add, the funny thing is, it's the understanding that's like having it now. Now we have it. 8 years, we built the foundations. There's still some work to make it even easier and so on, and obviously the multi-chain and everything else. But it's the understanding, it's the experiencing, it's the using that also needs its own time. It's like a dough, that needs to grow, right? Um,
yeah,
and it's funny enough how this can be such a barrier because we think, okay, if there's a perfect solution, people would immediately understand and immediately be drawn to it. The truth is they can't imagine what they can't imagine. And because in crypto, everybody adjusted to this notion of a wallet, a seed phrase, and tokens, that every time you ask them for a crypto solution, they think, okay, I'm making this token, and then this token will be this permission, and then so they're trying to build everything with those building blocks that they have in their head. So whatever you ask them to, it will involve a token, and it will involve a wallet somehow, and they're trying to glue it together in a new way. But when you have different building blocks, you can think very different. The solution becomes easier, more seamless, or certain solutions you don't even need anymore because they're already there by default. It's just it's a mindset shift, really. That's what's going to take place or needs to take place.
And you mentioned that you were at the parliament yesterday. I'm just curious on your thoughts about where they are currently with the regulators. I'm not sure if you've heard they're releasing the EU digital identity and also the European business wallet, I think next year. Is there some sort of interoperability with the solution that's with universal profiles, or are they even aware about that, Fabian, or is it completely like a separate thing that they're not even known about?
So there were not a lot of parliament people there. There was the gathering. I mean, the funny fact is, when you have politicians, they actually don't show up at sessions. It's like, even if there's parliament sessions, like, it's an empty room. It's crazy. They get paid to just do nothing. I mean, and then they get their assistant secretary there to take notes. And then they print out the internet. They are quite archaic. So the thing is, there is regulation coming. So there is overlaps and there is challenges. The overlap is that basically any of those new systems, doesn't even matter how they are being constructed, because there will always be some kind of key with some kind of format of a signature reference to something. And a universal profile is the foundation for that, no matter what, because you can store any data in there. It can
Exactly.
act on chain. The universal profile wallet could hold any type of key. If that somehow becomes important, it could support it down the road. So it's certainly very compatible. The challenge comes with universal profiles is an on-chain account. On-chain means that it sits on a public blockchain. Whatever happens on that account address, anybody can see. And that's just the way blockchains work today. There is obviously CK and privacy layers and all kind of stuff that people develop that can plug into that in the future. But at the core, if it sits on a public blockchain, it's visible. So you don't need to put your public name there, right? You don't need to say, that's me and that's my photo and that's my address, and now you have it on chain. That would be probably not a good idea, except you're very public. But it is identifiable and recognizable. And that's really useful for communities, and interactions, with a lot of different people. The challenge is basically GDPR and on-chain, because GDPR was made in the age where there was only dominant players that hold these massive databases, that hold all the user data. They have total transparency into everything, and the user doesn't even own any of that stuff. So GDPR was this idea that you always had to have the right to ask for deletion. So they need to delete your data if you want to, blah, blah, blah. So great protection rights for privacy, or for personal sovereignty, if you will, right? The problem is with blockchain, it's a very different system. And the reason why an account on blockchain makes sense, because that's the only infrastructure we have today where you can truly own something only yourself. So when you create a universal profile and your device generates the keys to control that profile, you're the only one who has access. There's no one who controls that but you. It's your personal public data storage, if you will. Like, you can put your profile information there, you can put whatever any protocol or app in the future wants, you could put it in there, and you're the only one who can allow to put this in there, or allow an app to put things in there. It's your personal private thing. I mean, it's public, but it's personally yours. And on top of this, that account can also do anything on this network or on the network it's on. So now you can do all the blockchain stuff. You can do payments, you can hold assets, you can issue things, you can interact with a protocol. So having an account on blockchain makes completely sense. And because the privacy stuff is going to be figured out down the road, there's lots of people working on it, and even general blockchains themselves trying to figure it out. But it currently clashes a little bit with this notion of right to be forgotten, for example, in GDPR, because you can't really go to the blockchain and say, "Hey, can you please forget me?" And fun fact, if you think a little bit about how this reality works, if you live in a village and you leave that village, you can also not just go to everybody and say, "Please forget me." Like, don't remember me. Like, erase your memory of me because I decided I want to be now private from now on. It's like they will remember everything you did. They will know that you were that a crying kid, in the morning always, or you were like playing on that playground, or you were like, I don't know, painting on this guy's wall one day or doing a graffiti. And it will be known and it will not go away just because they all remember it. And blockchain is in a way the same. So whatever actions you do there is kind of like an action you do in public. And you can't ask for forgetting. What you can do though is you can erase or decouple the personal data or the metadata from the account, as long as it was in a place where you can delete it, or even IPFS will forget at some point. Then you basically transform that account over time into something that looks like an anonymous address that did something. And obviously, if people still remember that was your account, you won't be forgotten. But you can decouple these things. The interesting thing is that there is a paper by I think a German. I think the state, they published a paper recommending GDPR and blockchain and what to do. And
Right.
the whole paper on the end actually has no recommendation. Their recommendation is don't connect personal data to a wallet, which is a recommendation, but that also means you're literally excluding the future of blockchain, which is exactly what I have built. That is that future. Like, there's no
I
other
mean,
way to make an account system that you don't fully own by yourself, where you can actually build up reputation if it's not on a
exactly.
chain.
I think just to this point as well, I feel like we're seeing it globally as well, especially with like the largest network school. I like new communities and new forms of society being, in different places, right? Because there's no more borders nowadays. Is everything's digital. So yeah, I'm curious to hear your thoughts about that sort of philosophy, Fabian. What's your thoughts about this new ways of forming communities and how it's being organized?
Yeah. I mean, so this is exactly what this enables. When you have an on-chain account without borders, like you said, that you fully control, now you can form connection across the globe that can involve reputation, that can involve financial transactions, that can involve ownership, that can involve, belonging, membership, community, stakeholdership, voting, whatever. And it really allows us to create this kind of global societies or network states or, global groups that do not really depend on anything besides that network of people. And that's what this technology now enables. And the other thing is also, it also, I mean, is an identity not only for people, right? That's just one part, but it's also an identity for an organization. It's also an identity for such a community. It's also an
Exactly.
identity for a DAO. It's also an identity for a brand or for a company. And they specifically even want the transparency, or they should want it if they want reputation, right? They want that you can see, oh, that item was issued by that company. And this is for the last 5 years, that address on chain, that profile with all their metadata, their followers and knowledge and whatever is the one who's issuing this. And if they're issuing it, it's legit. It's real
Exactly.
because there's a clear provenance, right? And that was just not possible before. Like, until now, that was not existent. That means anything that has to do with provenance, verifiability, that requires identity at the foundation was just not happening. or couldn't happen. If it was tried, it was always tried in a custom way where there was one platform where this identity was there. And we've seen it. I think like there's some of these NFT marketplaces that shut down. I forgot which one, but I think that one of them recently shut down. And these creators, had these profiles on these platforms. So all of their collection, they are now on chain still, but the profile is gone. Like, who's the original author? Now you go on chain, you see another random address. Maybe it has an ENS name, maybe not anymore because the guy switched to another wallet. So now you have a collection that you have to guess is the real one. No real provenance anymore to who created it, or is that person even relevant or anything. And now it's like, and then creating a collection looks exactly the same on chain is not very complicated either. Right? You can clone the thing. So you need to become a forensic, detective to start to understand what's real, what's not, what's important, what's not, and no one does that. So hence this all loses value. And the people bought it in the first place, just again, bought nothing really. So identity is just at the core of so many things that we need in the future, outside and inside of Web3. And so far it hasn't existed, like at all, or not at all, but not in the way it needed to be. And that's kind of, it's a pity. And hence why we also are just still in finance, really.
Yeah, and when you try to pitch or even talk about this sort of concept to VCs or investors, Fabian, with what you're doing now with Universal Everything, what's the take on it? Are they receptive? Are they pushing back? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I think that the biggest challenge really for people like me, that inventing foundational things, is that what we have built here is just too big. It's too big. The vision is too big. The impact will be too big. The foundations are too big. It's very hard for people to understand that this is not one app, one use case. This is not, a green
Exactly.
car. Like literally, I invented the wheel, not the car. Like, and then what comes out of the wheel is like a whole society came out of it. It's it's more like a fundamental piece that can be used in so many different ways. So it's really either you need to be extremely bold and say, I'm raising $200 million for this future, which I think I'm way too German for to do that. I guess. I mean, no, wait, like, you either need to be hyper bold, or they don't understand because in their mind they look for something small. So that's exactly what I also wrote in the article. So currently what's happening is I'm scaling things down. Number one, so that our treasury doesn't get depleted. And number two, because I also have been working, literally for 8 years on this, being on the fucking edge of myself, like financially, work-wise, all the fucking time,
Mentally, yeah.
mentally. And I need to chill down. I need to just scale back. At the same time, and that's the weird thing, is like everything is really coming well together and the technology is now there. We're going to release the token generator, in the next days, that will allow you to create soulbound tokens for the first time. Like basically the fundamentals for cultural currencies, and we can go into that in a bit. While also the multi-chain stuff is on the horizon, already being worked on, while AI agents getting better. So it's a lot. I can even just build very complex features myself with, Emmet, for example, things that were unthinkable. I mean, just today they released Fable 5. That seems to be even better model, than Opus 4.8. So things are shifting, but at the same time, I want to scale down. And I have an idea of what I want to build on top of all of this, which is actually tying into the multi-chain very well, which is a transaction relay service. A transaction relay service is not only a business, and it is this smaller unit of things that one can understand easier, because it's a business like a mobile carrier, it's a business like an
Exactly.
ISP, internet service provider. It's a clear case. If people want to use blockchain and we expect them to understand native tokens and different chains and any of that stuff, and then how to get it and how, forget about it. Blockchain is never going to get adopted. A transaction relay service is going to be that, service that you use that gives you all of that. It takes care of the gas, it takes care of the different multi-chain deployments. It just gives you your profile that you control. It's still 100% your control, but it takes care of, paying for your transactions in a convenient way. That's a very simple business. And for that, I will likely start raising money when I have settled things here a little bit more, and I will go off, spend more time in the Bay Area. Then I consider that. But I don't want to rush it either, because I'm not rushing into the next obligation. I'm already in fucking obligations since 100 years, so, but it is a clear case. This is something that is more investable, let's say, because VCs understand that. Like investing in Luxor into this ecosystem, I try to explain it to people. It's like I lose them always after 2 minutes. Probably lost right now the audience already far before too. And it's just because I'm really dealing with very novel concepts always. I'm thinking, about what doesn't exist, and I'm building the tools for what doesn't exist. And that will enable the future. And once that future is there, people will look back and think it's completely obvious that it was done this or that way, and they will understand it was so obvious that this happened this way and it needed to
Exactly.
happen. It will be all very obvious. But right now it's not. You
I
know?
mean, I mean, to your point, Fabian, you guys mentioned digitals and the tokenization of physical products back in white paper in 2020. Right now, I'm actually trying to carry that sort of concept with what we're building. So, case in point, like the technology you provide is enabling us to do what we're destined to do in some way. So, yeah, I appreciate you for doing that.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Just
Like not only 2020, it was 2019 and 18 and 17. These ideas were around since the early days. But exactly, yeah, like we are now, 8 years later, in this case, like 7 years later. But yeah, you have now built, with Family Labs, like this enterprise level token generator to create productized, tokenized things. And you could do that because the foundations are now there, like you have the account system, you have the new tokens, they have these new abilities to be more flexible. You have the provenance now, blah, 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 blah. And there's still a bunch of pieces that need to be built. In fact, one can build full-on enterprise level permission systems for universal profiles, where you can have departments and authorized departments to control this profile and issue certain product lines through the profile. So on chain, you have this total transparency. It's that organization doing it, while there's all of these different employees doing it, all then the different little
exactly.
computers with their own little, ways of doing it and being restricted to only certain things. That's what this technology enables already, actually. But someone needs to build a front end. Someone needs to build the different permission departments, smart contracts, or even just UIs parts. And yeah, so many years, and you're following this and thinking about this and working on it. And um,
Yeah.
sometimes this takes way longer than we expect, and certainly that I expected. Even for what I'm building and for what other people building, and understanding, catching up, and all of this is just it's
Yeah,
insane.
just on this point, Pavel, reflecting back, you've been building for 8 years. Any sort of unexpected outcomes that came in, something that you didn't expect, back when you were starting? I'm just curious to hear your thoughts.
Oh, many, many. Many, many. Like the basic vision for me has never changed. For me, it was I want to see the rest of the world to use Web3. Um, I know we need better foundations for making that happen, and it needs to be more versatile, and we need to obviously make things that are beyond just finance. That's why we said, blockchain for lifestyle and blockchain for culture, blockchain for social, and all of this stuff, because that's what I see this infrastructure can be useful for as well, and that's interesting to more people than just finance bros. But along the way, I mean, if I would iterate the story of Luxor, it's like there's so much that happened. I mean, we started out trying to make a proof of authority network. The idea was to bring in these different brands running the network. At some point, it became very obvious to me that number one, that would be a very long road to even get them all to agree. Number two, once we have a POA network, that's never going to decentralize. They will never let go of power, and we see that right now with different kind of POA networks that exist. And then we were lucky enough that Ethereum actually switched to proof of stake, because for me, a proof of work chain was never interesting. But then Ethereum took a year or two to switch from proof of work to proof of stake. And we built out alongside Ethereum our own way of making that happen. And we got very far. That was the testnet L15. We actually had a running execution proof of stake orchestrator way, at the same, or even before Ethereum's one, at the same time where Ethereum did their own way, internal way, and ours was running, but it was missing some few pieces. But then Ethereum was fully ready, and we could totally switch to that. And that benefit is obviously massive, because all the development of Ethereum Luxor network gets as well. Then we started the network in a decentralized way. Even before, in the past, we had to make the ICO. That also took a long time, because we talked to the German regulators, asked them basically for permission, which was 1.5 years, multiple rounds of talking before we even started the ICO. In hindsight, I should probably have just gone in the Cayman Islands and do whatever, man, rather than trying to do it the ordinary way in Germany, paying a fuckload of taxes. It's so crazy, man. They definitely didn't reward me for doing it here, to be honest. Like, it was like, okay, guys, you just teach me like not doing it here. Great. Anyway, yes, it's a lot that happened. I mean, if you're starting any kind of project yourself, and you know that too, James, and everybody
Exactly.
else who started a project, is you have this idea and you think, oh yeah, I'm just doing X, Y, Z. In a year, it's going to be already working. And then, you sit there in year 3 and you think like, fuck. And that
Yeah,
like,
where did time
and the
go?
thing shifted and trauma happened and this happened and does happen, whatever. World is changing and things are different and people change and everything. It's just crazy. So it's always a marathon. Again, same for our community, I guess, people, and I'm just honestly lucky, number one, that the technology all worked out the way it worked out. I'm very impressed actually with that, because it's
That
kind of
is
like
true.
building like a Swiss clockwork, but instead of building the clock, we built the little cogs. For years, I built the cogs with the team. And then at some point, you block it together and you hope it's a clock that works. And it's not only became a clock, it's a really well working clock. So it's extremely impressive to then see that very fine-grained, very detailed system with so many layers to actually really start to make sense and really unlock so much. And we haven't even seen any of the unlocks so far. We just seen the same behavior that people do on Ethereum, just on Luxor, but that's not even using its power at all. We just see it a little bit because it's a bit easier, it's more convenient, and people don't think about gas. And there's obviously cool profile pictures with transactions and stuff. But we haven't even touched the potential of these standards at all. At all. So seeing that's really exciting. But at the same time, look I have gray hair, man. From exactly, you know, this is all just, Luxo and my marriage before. Yeah, but yeah, it just takes so long. It's just insane. Um, yeah, yeah, it's both, and and then also on top of this, the crazy thing is that we even were able to fund all this that this is already going for so long, it's a mystery to me. I mean, I have obviously spent a lot of my personal money in this now. I mean, to the extent where, it's getting empty, hence why things also need to be small down, or like downsized. But even that this exists for so long, like 8 years, 10 years, 9 years. I mean, 2017 is when we
Yeah,
literally
it's been a
created the
while.
company. And year 7 to 5 was created in November 2017 as well. Um, it's a long time. Um,
So yeah, I think I got a few more questions, probably last two, Fabian. You mentioned that you're gonna be going to San Fran and raising and spending your time over there. Are you
a little.
planning on staying there for life? Are you leaving Berlin or?
So, I mean, all of this is a bit more of a gut feeling, to be honest. I mean, I'm in Berlin in 13 years. Um, and I like the city. I love the city. It's probably the most free city, like in terms of culture, freedom, parties, just the culture, just what you're able to do wherever you're able to do it, and on the street, and how you can live, and especially in summer, there's no city that compares. Like if you want to experience freedom, this city is the only place where it's literally, except you're in the pampa nowhere, and there you can have freedom too, but there's just no one besides you.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that city is definitely one of those, if not the capital of it in the world. But at the same time, I'm already knowing since years that I want to go somewhere else. It pulls me somewhere else. And for me, America was always a no-go. Um, I mean, number one, because of politics, but also because of just the cost. It's just very expensive. The food quality is not as good. The fluoride in the water. I mean, just basic infrastructure that you have in Europe is just way higher on many levels. And in America, I feel I mean, if you want to have really good quality, you pay a lot. You need to be very rich to just like live like you live here, completely normal. Um, but the thing is, last September, actually, I landed in San Francisco, and when I looked out, I got that very clear feeling that that's a place I can call home, and it
Oh,
just became
nice.
very obvious to me. It was just I just felt it immediately. So I feel the calling to go there, and also for what I'm doing now. Now that the foundations are there, and now we're getting into the now actually we're getting now into the place that this can be used. It can be Luxo can be used in culture, obviously as an identity reputation layer for everything. Cultural tokenization can really start to happen now because we really just like bring it now the puzzle together, and it was never ready before. It was never ready to that point before. So adoption could only happen in the meme coin section and in the old crypto stuff. But there you're competing with all this money and this liquidity on other chains, and it's basically impossible. But in the new domain, the one that we are talking about since like 8 years, that is happening now. This is now becoming possible, and we're the only chain where this actually can be like this. And that's people need to understand it as well. So now we're coming into the point where it can be commercialized, where it can actually be used, and there's still a lot of things that can be built to make it easier. Like for example, website logins with a profile and blah blah blah. Um, and then the multi-chain, right? That's a massive unlock as well for all of crypto. Like using Web3 apps in fucking 10 seconds or 20 seconds. Impossible. Didn't exist. There's no way to do it right now. Like we will be the first time that really unlocks this. Um, so there's a commercialization part that can now happen. And the US, specifically the Bay Area, is just really good at
Exactly.
marketing, building apps, UI, dealing with people stuff. Like there's the right people to do that. So I feel it's definitely the right place. When exactly this is going to happen, and if I will fully move there or not, I mean that depends on lots of other things. Um, I would say I will travel more, and I will be in different places. So that's what's going to happen for sure. Um, and it will be less in Berlin. Yeah. Yeah, that's for sure too. But
Nice.
that's yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. And that's also why we're giving off the office. Up. I mean, number one, we don't have so many people here anymore, and number two, that really also was like locking me in here into Berlin. I mean, obviously my son as well, but he is now almost 16. But also um, the office really, like I feel responsible. I created this whole thing. I feel like
Exactly.
so letting that go is actually very freeing and allows me to be more, out there, flexible and doing things. So,
Nice. Yeah, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
um, I mean, I think maybe one important thing is like because we have a lot of people in crypto and also in our community that obviously everybody wants the price to go up. Me too. To be honest, absolutely. Like our treasury, depends on this. Everything depends on this. But we can also not just like everybody needs to realize that all the other chains, all the other ecosystems, they try to do the same, and they have way bigger budgets than we, and they are not succeeding. Why they're not succeeding? Because the market is just not ready right now. Like whatever you do, you make a handstand, you make a salto, you jump in the air, you can levitate, nobody would fucking care because it doesn't matter. In the moment where nobody has the money to spend, they're not going to spend it. But what is this the time? This is the time to understand, use the technology. Now, when we release the token generator, understand it. Understand that you can create different kind of customizable tokens, um, non-transferable tokens, really good for loyalty points. Make a meetup. Give out your fan tokens. Or your loyalty points there. If you're making parties as a DJ, give out a fan token. And then you need to bring the reason of why they are valuable, why people want to collect them. That's not up to me. That's not up to the technology. That's up to you making the reason for that. And the proof of presence app will allow you to not only distribute them on site, but also check people in later, like for backstage maybe, or for, a discount, or for a free drink, or for another meetup that's exclusive to only certain people. Whatever it might be, people need to be creative and they need to play with the tools. And then from playing, it becomes this kind of like iteration over time, um, where this becomes useful. So, and one thing also really important is when the time is right. And I believe this project, and I know a lot of people in our community believe that too, this project has divine timing. This is going to hit the nail on the head the moment the time is right. The divine timing is coming, and the zeitgeist will realize, oh, the next crypto needs culture, or the next crypto needs whatever it needs. And then they will understand that what we have built here is exactly what is needed. I think that moment will come.
100%.
And then people will realize, but they have that. This is exactly what we need now. And by then, hopefully, by then, not hopefully, but by then we will be ready. This will be so ready that it's going to be the primary choice for XYZ. And specifically when it's multi-chain, it's not even a speculation anymore about Luxo. It's a speculation on, will crypto be interesting? Because if crypto will be interesting, we will have the fastest, easiest, most convenient, most human, most natural gateway to that crypto. And that alone, could be the access. And every profile that gets created in the profile app will be on Luxo first. So Luxo will grow the biggest user base. Every time you want to do something, for free, because we can subsidize on Luxo, you can do it on Luxo. So want to create a token just for fun with your friends? Use Luxo. Want to do it on Ethereum? Pay first, because obviously that costs gas and we need to pay it too. If you become a pro user, you need to pay too. Or, buy your own token. You can do it the old way, you can do it the new way. Any way is possible, but it's going to be that way. And that requires the right timing. It will happen. Like
I agree.
what I have been foreseeing since years here, I mean, it already happened, with NFT waves and everything. Now, even the regulation that literally even demanding it. So it is already happening. But I feel there will be this moment where it's just going to be like literally like a blade cutting a hair, like where it just everything will start just coming into one crazy point where this all starts to make sense. And then the people who have been believing in that for so long, hopefully will be right too. But I just see no other. There is no other. I don't see any alternative.
Alternatives, exactly.
If you really think about what can the future be, and if the future in crypto will be beyond just finance, and obviously that will probably be either something with community, belonging, culture, people, whatever people like to do in life, like hanging out and building groups and doing stuff together. What would that need? I mean, it needs identity. That's no question. Is there another identity system that's actually generic, universal, on chain, like
Decentralized.
yours? like, like, yeah, there is ENS, but I described the problems before. Number one, you need to buy it. Number two, it's actually a registry of names and not exactly an identity. And then there's nothing. Or there's some outdated system that requires some custom token that had no reason to exist. Or there's the DID thing where everything is private, but you cannot build reputations on that, and it has no on-chain component, and it cannot transact, and it just is no alternative. It's so crazy. Like I'm almost like, we are as a project, we build in a direction where we're the only one building in that direction for what very long time. And we will see, we will see.
I love that. Yeah, I appreciate you taking the time, Fabian. I'm sure the audience and the community would also love to hear your voice and hear you speak. So thank you for sharing your time with me.
Yeah. Thank you, James, for initiating that.
Thanks, everyone. Bye bye.